This is the School Success Podcast, a podcast for school leaders to learn from other school leaders what's working and what's not, and to get inspiration and encouragement, as well as strategies to grow school enrollment, connect with families, retain teachers, recruit teachers, and everything in between. You guys are heroes, and I cannot thank you enough for pouring into this next generation that's coming behind us. My goal is you will take at least one thing away from every episode that you can take back to your school to make it better than it is right now. Please enjoy the School Success Podcast. This podcast is brought to you by the Herzog Foundation.
Time for school.
Hey, School Success Makers. Welcome to another edition of the School Success Podcast. I'm your host, Mitchell Slater. I'm joined by a new friend out of the great state of Tennessee, Dr. Kevin Cline, who is the superintendent of Lakeway Christian Schools in White Pine, Tennessee. And I got connected with him about a month or two ago and heard about their school and what they're doing. And we talked about some different topics we could have on the podcast. And I was like, oh, this will be a fun one and a good one. So you guys are in for a treat today. But before we jump into all the content, we always pass it off to the guests to introduce themselves. So Kevin, welcome to the podcast today, sir.
Hey, first, thank you so much for having me. It's been great to get to know you. My name is Kevin Cline. I am the superintendent of Lakeway Christian Schools in East Tennessee. A proud dad, two boys, middle school, elementary school, a husband to an educator. Education is what we do as a family, and so I'm excited to share more today about Lakeway Christian Schools.
Awesome. Looking forward to diving in. But before we do that, everybody gets the same question before we start the podcast. Been doing this for almost 200 episodes. They've all gotten the same question. And it's this: if I was to visit you guys in White Pine, Tennessee, which I've never been there before, what would you say, Mitchell, you need to eat this and do this to experience White Pine, Tennessee?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. I would say, number one, we are known for, we have fantastic hoagies, actually. So I would recommend the Easy In Market, fantastic steamed hoagie that is just like a local legend that you would love. So I think that's one. I think what you should do is we are between two lakes. So as a school, we literally are landlocked between two lakes. And so two large lakes that are famous for fishing, boating, outdoor activities, and we're right up against the Smoky Mountains. So it has to be something outside.
That sounds awesome. Now you gotta tell me real quick, when I get there and I get a hoagie, what am I getting when I get a hoagie?
That is salami, ham, cheese, provolone cheese, mayonnaise, mustard, pickle, pepper on the side, in a dark bread. We don't know what it is. It's just dark bread. That's what we call it. In a steamed machine. And so when you get it out, like the cheese is melted, all the things are all together, it just melts in your mouth.
Sign me up. That does sound delicious. I love it.
There's not a lot of options, I will say, in White Pine, but that is a good one.
All right, perfect. Well, this is good because sometimes people will say, well, you got to try the Mexican food, or you got to try no, I want to know, where am I going to get this the best thing, and so you said it's a grocery store. It has this. Is that what you said?
Well, it's actually a gas station grocery store combo because I'm in a rural area, Mitchell. So we have combo places, and that's a place where you can fill up your tank, get some groceries for the day, and also a nice hoagie sandwich.
Sounds like you guys should add a wing to the school. It has a gas station and a hoagie station, and it's a perfect little, man. I have so many great ideas.
Revenue generation for the school, yeah.
So as we jump into episode today, I know some of the questions I had specifically for you from our first call is you were mentioning you guys specifically have like this Christian school system.
Right.
And I'd love for you to explain kind of like when you say that, like, hey, Christian school systems, what exactly is that for you guys there at Lakeway?
Yeah, so for us, Lakeway Christian Schools was an idea that started just about 10 years ago. So I think this is like year 8 of the idea. And they began to think, hey, we're going to build a Christian high school in our area. But there was a local pre-K-12 school that was a little smaller. And so Lakeway Christian Schools joined together with them. And so that became the Lakeway Christian School system. So we have a pre-K through 5th grade. That's about 8 miles from where I'm currently at in White Pine. That houses our students in grades pre-K through 5. And then we have the Lakeway campus, which right now is our flagship campus in our school system. And that houses grades 6 through 12. And so that makes up what we consider like the Lakeway region within our system. And then about an hour away in the fall or spring, nothing was happening, spring of 2020, if you remember, we kind of had a clarion call from another Christian school system or Christian school that was failing in the Tri-Cities area. And they wanted to be a part of Lakewood Christian Schools. And so as a system, we brought them in and they became a part of what we're doing. Since then, that's got less than about 100 students. They're right at now 550 students on 3 campuses in the Tri-Cities. And we currently have a construction project ongoing so that will basically replicate what's happening in our area in East Tennessee, right outside of Knoxville.
Hey, school success makers, Mitchell here. I just want to take a really quick break from the show to give a big, huge shout out to the Herzog Foundation. I absolutely love the Herzog Foundation. I've been friends and partners with them for a couple of years now, but we're bringing it to a whole new level. And I'm excited to share that our very own School Success podcast is now featured on the Herzog Foundation Podcast Network. The Herzog Foundation is a powerhouse of resources designed to support schools like yours, from free training events through the Herzog Foundation Institute to their incredible online news publication, The Lion, and of course, our new podcast home. They have everything you need to stay informed and inspired. And if you're dreaming of starting your own Christian school or co-op, don't miss their online course, Schoolbox. It's a fantastic resource to help you get started on the right foot. At School Success, we're proud to partner with the Herzog Foundation to bring you these valuable tools and insights. So visit herzogfoundation.com to explore all they have to offer. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on these amazing opportunities for growth and success. And I love all the people over there, and I know you guys will too. So please go check them out, and you won't be disappointed. Now, back to the show. Wow. So is the goal then to continue to add more schools? Are you guys saying like, I think we're good at the moment, going to like fine tune what we got, or is the goal to kind of continue to grow with that system?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we never want to shorten the arm of God, and so if he's called us to do great work in other places and spaces, we would do that. But really, what we want to do is we just want to be good stewards, and so that means right now we want to get better in everything that we do. But we're always open to what the Lord's called us to do if it involves other schools.
Amen. What are some, with now you guys have gotten into this, multiple campuses, different sites, far away from each other? There's obviously, I'm sure there's some challenges. What are some, in your take from this, what are some advantages, but also disadvantages of doing it the way you guys are doing it? Because that is very unique.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're systematic. So we have systematic policy, which is wonderful because one policy can govern the 5 campuses. We have systematic board policies that go from one campus to the other. It's really important. The second part is we have systematic purchasing power. So we're coming now as a school system over 300 employees, over right at 1,800 students. And so we have greater bargaining advantage than we would have if we were each individual campuses. Collective expertise, probably one of the things that's not really something that impacts your budget, but impacts the experience. So we have leadership team meetings. We're planning together with 5 principals. We're planning together with folks that are coming from things in different angles and different ideas, and so that makes us better, challenges us as we go. It's really important. And then I think does the community impact. So within our Lakeway Christian Schools community, we have connections in nearly every field that's represented in East Tennessee because of the depth and breadth of our schools, where we are, and the locations in which we are as a school. The negatives are the relational piece. My office is an hour and a half away from one of our campuses. And so being able to connect, you have to put effort into that. And so each week I'll make the trek up to, the Tri-Cities and spend the day. And during that day, I make the most of it, meeting with families, having lunch with donors, things of that nature. But I mean, that part can be challenging at times. Also, the different communities have different aspects of who they are. An example would be about 70% of our students attend a Southern Baptist church in our Lakeway region, but in the Upper East Tennessee region, where the Tri-Cities campuses are, it's about 25%. So that impacts culture. It impacts all kinds of things. So even though they're 90 minutes apart, there is some different regional pieces that are present. ETSU, so there's a major university in Johnson City. University of Tennessee Knoxville is our major university. So go Vols, had to give a shout out there. But that is, those parts are different. So how do you build the connective tissue? And then the other part is recruiting and retaining high quality staff. So, when you're spanning an area that can be 2 hours either way, you have to be very specific in what you're looking for, where you're going, what campus you're actually recruiting for, and then the market in which that position will be available. That's what we do.
I love it. So I mean, what some of the questions I had just from what you're talking about there, couple of different questions for this. Is each campus at all autonomous on their
Mhm.
own in any decisions? Because I know, for instance, I'm thinking of our church that I go to right now is multi-sites,
Yeah.
and it's if you're in certain areas, you need to do it a little bit differently there based on your demographic that you have versus over here. So does that kind of come into play where at different campuses, you got to maybe do a little bit marketing different. You got to word things differently. The staffing might be different. The culture maybe feels a little different. And then I guess, does each school get the ability to make decisions on their own, or you're like, nope, top down, this is what we're doing. And it just goes through all the different schools across the area.
Yeah, I mean, so it really depends on what it is, you know. So, like, if it's our mission and vision, that's top down, right? Like, we're going to be who we're going to be. We went through, for instance, we calendar a year in advance, so we're already calendaring for the next year. And every year at third grade at Lakewood Christian Schools, you read Charlotte's Web, right? And you do a biblical integration component of that. And then at the end, it culminates in a county fair. So our students participate in all kinds of fun activities. At Cornerstone, that's a tradition that's been there since before Lakewood Christian School started. So when that school was just a part of, when they were their independent school. At the Tri-Cities campuses, they've adopted that tradition, but they had a tradition on Saturday in which they had their own fall festival, right? And so theirs is on Saturday. The one at Cornerstone is on Thursday, right? So there's intricacies within each campus that they dictate to who is best for them. How do you do this best for your community and culture? We just look at the mainstay parts. So each campus has an own principal that really runs day-to-day operations. I lean in when it becomes systematic, but they work together as a group of principals as well. So both 6 through 12 principals work together, elementary school principals work together, and that helps everyone kind of stay on the same page. Curriculum, that's going to be something that's systematic. When you take a field trip, that's going to be at your school level.
Okay. That sounds good.
Yeah.
So obviously you guys, you mentioned this already. You guys are in a rural area where you are. I'm assuming there's some campuses that maybe not are in a rural area, maybe just a couple of them. What does that makeup look like? What challenges maybe come into play with having a school in a rural area?
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the focuses of ACSI, our accreditation agency, is to reduce Christian education deserts, right? And one of the most common Christian education desert is actually in rural areas. It's not in urban areas at all. And so in our community, there was not a Christian school option until Lakewood Christian Schools came, literally in my entire county. And so we're in a rural area. Both of those, the campuses here are what I would consider rural areas. And then in our Upper East Tennessee campuses, they're in smaller cities. So I would still somewhat rural, but very small cities. And so there's a lot of unique gifts to that, right? Like there's a lot of really good things. If you go to Lakewood Christian Schools, I probably know you. I probably know your parents. I probably know your grandparents. I probably know any siblings that you have, right? And where you go to church and where you grocery shop. You know what I mean? So beautiful things in that regard. However, the population is simply small, right? So if it's a 10% average, for folks that choose independent school, right now we're overachieving. The local public school system has about 7,000 students in it. And in the Lakeway region alone, we're right at 1,200 students. So, there is some pieces there that make it difficult. Fundraising is more challenging. Most of the time, we're talking about rural settings. We're talking about higher poverty levels. So we have to be affordable and accessible as a school. In order for us to meet the needs of our community, we have to monitor that. How are we staying accessible? How are we staying affordable to our families? And that's really important. And then you throw in one of the pieces that I'm excited to talk about as well is that we're not a standard college prep Christian school. We offer trades and we offer work-based learning opportunities and different things for our students that meet the needs of our community and the job forces that are needed here.
Love that. And I'm assuming school choice has helped in what you guys are doing. And if so, I'd love you. And if not, tell me too. But what does school choice kind of look like for you guys there in Tennessee?
Yeah, absolutely. So school choice expanded this year to include rural areas. It was passed last legislative session. We got to bring down one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of, actually, as a school leader, is we got to bring down a group of students to Nashville. And we got to go to the Capitol, meet our governor. They got to hear me testify in support of school choice. They got to interact with protesters and see that side of the aisle too. The governor he uploaded a photo of us and our students before we even made it back were, reading comments on social media. And we just took that time to teach our kids, right, about about what the world's like, how we should respond to that as believers, how we should respond to that as like productive citizens. So it was a fantastic experience. It just happened. But school choice has made it affordable to a lot of families, but there's still a lot of work to go. There's only 20,000 opportunities in the state of Tennessee. There's 1.3 million students in the state of Tennessee. So it is a small, kind of dent, if you will, in that population. We ended up with nearly 600. And some of the best phone calls I had this past summer was when families got that, because they're now able to, maybe save a little bit for college. Maybe they don't have to work an extra job to cover tuition. So we're talking about real sacrifice, real impact, that school choice dollars made for these families. And they were absolutely thrilled with that. And so it has made it more affordable and accessible. But the other part to us is we're just fortunate. We have a foundation that helps fund our financial aid. And so families that want to come to Lakewood Christian Schools and be a part of what we're doing, they have that opportunity if they're willing to make it, if they're willing to make any sacrifice, right? So we gave away need-based aid this past year, $2.8 million worth of need-based aid.
Wow.
And that's just a core value of who we are as a Christian school system. And that's really kind of that's a visionary piece, right? That's something that's not going to change in who we are for years to come.
Where did that money come from? Is that from donors that associated that, or a state fund?
Yeah, it's a private donor, that's helped fund that for us, and he just has a conviction to support Christian education, a conviction to make it accessible to families in our area. He's from our area, connected to our area. Just has a great heart for rural communities and for students that are in poverty, and help them opportunity to achieve, right, to break out of those cycles and to do the things that God's called them to do as people.
Man, if everybody had one of those people for their school, man, that'd be awesome. That's a huge resource. That's great. You kind of mentioned this, and I know you mentioned on our first call about how I think you guys offer a way for students to get like an associate's degree before they even graduate high school. Is that correct?
Oh yeah. So we partner with Carson University, local Christian university here, and we're up to students can earn 60 credit hours prior to graduating high school. And so that was really important to us. Want to be competitive with local public school environments, but also, we want to challenge our students academically, right? So if they know where they're going and what they want to do, we want to have that opportunity for them. And so we've seen tremendous success for that in this first year, with lots of students engaging in dual enrollment classes.
So if a school's listening, which I mean, hopefully they're listening, obviously, they're listening right now, and they're like, oh my gosh, that'd be awesome. I'd love to be able to offer a way for students to get an associate's degree and not be like behind per se when they get into college where they have no credits. What does that look like? You mentioned partnering with a university. Is it that simple to just go, hey, find a university that's willing to partner with you? Like, what does that look like? If you kind of speak into that for another school to get an idea to do the same.
Yeah. So in Tennessee, one of the things we've done a really good job of is providing pathways for students to be successful. And so after high school graduation in the state of Tennessee, you can earn an associate's degree for free, go to technical school for free. So it's part of our, state education funded program. And so you have to find a university. One, I would encourage you, like if you're a Christian school, you should partner with a Christian university. So if we're serious about building students' biblical worldview, then we need to be serious about that until they graduate from us, right? And so we partner with Christian University. That's a big key, right? That we're on the same page. The second part of that is how do you build that in? How do you make it affordable and accessible for your students? And so with Tennessee, there's dual enrollment grants. So students can apply for those grants, get those grants. It helps pay for their tuition. So that's one. The second part is as a school, you just have to be flexible. So classes that are offered here, we hire teachers that have the credentials so they can do both. They can teach high school students and dual enrolled students. So that makes it very flexible for your class. We plan years in advance. So we knew 2 years ago we wanted to keep increasing our dual enrollment classes and our advanced placement classes through AP. And so we combined together and strategically looked at the university of how do we do that? What places do we need to look at? What space do we need to look at? The third thing is you just got to be lucky sometimes, right? And so Carson Newman is like 15 minutes from our campus. So students can run over for a class or two classes. They can come back to campus half day, whatever they need to do. But what we want to be is innovative, right? Like we don't want to force students to be in school 8 to 3, August through May. We want to be innovative because that is the future. So if you hear nothing else in this podcast, as a school, if you're not innovative, if 5 years from now, you just have a Monday through Friday, 8 to 3 program, you're going to be out of business. Like I really do believe that. And so how do you stick to your values? How do you create, experiences for students, and how do you be innovative is what we value here. And so, I think that proximity was key. And then educate. You got to educate families. Why is it important for you to get dual enrollment classes? Why is it important for you to get college credits? And then we have our alumni. They're coming back and speaking into this. Hey, I only had to take 12 hours that first semester in college because I'm majoring in engineering and I wanted to be able to focus really heavily. I didn't have the pressure on me because of dual enrollment. Hey, I got into this program because there's all kinds of benefits there academically and socially, but it's been super successful for us and our kids.
Hey, I just want to take a really quick break from the podcast to highlight one of our amazing partners and sponsors, ClassReach. If you're a new school administrator or founder and are struggling to keep up with all the hassles of planting a new school, like collecting tuition, communicating with parents, or handling student data, then you need ClassReach. ClassReach is the all-in-one software that helps with everything from admissions and tuition to classroom management and parent communications. Sign up for a free consultation with one of their school specialists and see how ClassReach can help your school grow today. You guys can check them out online, classreach.com. They are a kingdom-minded company, and I love their leadership team there. I've become friends with a lot of them. They truly are a great company. I support them, and I love them, and you guys will love them too. Check them out at classreach.com. Now, back to the show. Man, I always say to people, adapt or die, but now it sounds like you need to innovate or die is what you're kind of saying, because you're right. If you don't keep up with it, somebody else is going to do it and they're going to eat your lunch, So it's like, what are we looking at? Obviously, AI is the talk of everything right now. School choice, the talk of everything right now, of like, what are these new things, resources coming out that we can adapt and innovate with what we have out there to keep up with the times? Because you're 100% right. And it happens really, really fast where you suddenly go, uh-oh, we're really behind. We need to catch up with what we're doing. For clarification on what you mentioned, to make sure I'm understanding, when you partner with the university, are you guys teaching anything inside the school that gets credits for them, or do they have to take everything at the university?
So both. So they go to the university, and then we have professors that come to us a few periods a day, and then we also have our own staff that are adjunct professors for the university. So we do all three. And then, for some students, we've even allowed them to take completely online courses through the university. So we really have tried every modality in order to get kids the best opportunity for them.
And money-wise, everything goes to you guys, and then you pay over there to the university, or are they paying a little bit over there? They're paying a little bit to you guys. What does that breakdown look like? So the university's making their money.
Yeah, so they contract directly with the university, so we're totally out of it. They pay tuition to us, right? So we're facilitating this, providing. Most of the time we're providing the teacher, but sometimes we do not. It just depends on the situation. And then they contract the university through the Tennessee Department of Ed and the dual enrollment grants.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
You mentioned this already too, but I want to kind of dive into this. Probably the last little section we'll talk on today of some of like the hands-on learning opportunities that you guys have, on the job training and stuff. What are some of the things you guys kind of offer right now? I know you mentioned a few, but kind of diving into that of like what you guys have available to hopefully give some of the other people listening. Oh, that'd be we could offer that. Like we could easily do that. What does that look like?
Yeah. So you look at it through various tiers. So we want students to be prepared for life after high school, right? So we want them to be, have a biblical worldview and be successful in whatever God's called them to be. Right. So we have done a lot of different things for that. We started a rooted program for middle school students, so they get soft skills instruction every month. Today, it was a speaker from the Department of Homeland Security talking about internet safety and why should you make sure that that your social media track record is clean. What does that look like? What you upload matters, things like that. It's been about taking responsibility, productivity. I mean, we really dive into all these things. Handshaking, right? All those concepts we teach. And then those students, they go through inventories. What are you interested in? Where do you want to go? And by the time they leave 8th grade, they've got a 5-year plan, of what does that look like that first year after high school, through high school, what classes are you taking to get to that goal. But they're also visiting a 4 university, a community college, and a technical school. Because we believe that everybody has been gifted uniquely, and that doesn't mean everyone goes to college. And so we have programs here for that. So we have welding, culinary arts, audiovisual production, robotics, STEM, graphic art and design. And so those classes allow our students to gain credentials like OSHA certifications, SAFE certifications, things of that nature, that allow them to pursue their passions. And so out of our 100 graduates a year, about 10 of them will probably go to technical school. And so they'll go right into their trades. And so yesterday I'm in a welding lab, sparks are flying. You see the flashes of the light from the welding, but you see engaged kids, right? And we value that because the Lord has gifted us all uniquely. And so we want to value that. The other part to that is work-based learning. So we have students who go out into the community and they're really getting hands-on experience to what do they think the Lord has called them to do. And sometimes that means, hey, I want to be a nurse, but then my first day of my placement, I see someone, bleeding, and then I pass out, and I realize, hey, like being a nurse is not for me, right? So we have those experiences. We have a young lady who's a certified pilot. By the time I think just in a few weeks, she'll be certified before she graduates high school. So she'll have her pilot's license. We have 4 young ladies this summer who started that program as a junior, able to get their CNA credential. They want to go in to be nurses, and they're working. They leave us a couple hours early each day. They go to a local nursing home, learning from Christian workplaces, right? Learning from Christians in the business world, but then also earning credentials and experiences. And so that's been terrific. Some students pair that with college. So we have a young lady who's in the University of Tennessee's chemical engineering program. And one of the reasons why she was able to get into that program was the AP, the advanced placement classes, the dual enrollment classes offered, but also because of work-based learning. So she was in a chemical manufacturing company for 2 years and got real hands-on experience. And each summer she goes back and she works for them. And so she got the hands-on technical experience, plus she got the classroom experience, and then the soft skill teaching, which made her a perfect candidate to get into that program. And so when you couple all those things together, like we're teaching you, we're going to give you like real skills. You're going to be in our school building with hands-on practical things and what you see, touch, do, feel to help them grow. And then, the work-based learning placement, which is kind of that capstone. By the time you're a senior, you're going to be in a leadership class. We're going to talk about principles of being a Christian in a workplace, principles of being a Christian in a community. How do you really do that and go? Because we at this point, we've hopefully formed your biblical worldview in conjunction with your family and your church, right? And so that lets them go out and explore the world, make a big impact. And then we spin off. So, hey, what's the needs? Well, right now we have a naval ROTC program that just got started. Because we have that need, have that desire. So we partner with one of our veterans that's on our staff, and he does that a period a day, right? So flexibility is key. As Christian schools, we're not going to have 3,000 or 4,000 students in a high school and have every program possible, right? So how do you be flexible? How do you be good stewards of the money that you have? And also this year just started agriculture science class to partner with FFA. So we have an FFA chapter. And so, we're doing these things because we want to meet the needs of our students. We want to create experiences for them, but mostly we want to prepare them to go out into the world, impact the world for Christ, right? And so those opportunities really allow them to gain that experience they need.
Is that at all the different campuses you guys have, or like, some have the welding, some have this, and it depends on our resources, or what does that look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So at the Lakeway campus, you'll have all those. At the Tri-Cities campus, as they are just now, kind of growing, they have a couple of those only. So it's going to be limited. They will move into their new facility fall of 2027. And our hope is by that point, the enrollment has grown so that they can have all those offerings as well that is at Lakeway. That's another great, component of a systematic educational opportunity, though, right? Is that they have been able to just take our work-based learning programming and plug it right in. So we have a full-time person. That's all he does. Up there, they have a teacher that does a couple periods a day just because of the size of the school. But the procedures and the policies and all the things that are happening behind the scenes were already in place for them to take off and run.
Doesn't sound like you guys do much at all. It's really like there's nothing going on at the school.
Boring place to be. Yeah, I mean, it's a boring place to be. I think our kids deserve it. That's what I would say is that our kids deserve us to be getting after it every single day, to be innovative, to provide them with a unique experience that's going to help them. We want school to be fun. It's almost Thanksgiving here. We're doing a turkey hunt next week. So 600 students on this campus are going to be hunting turkeys all throughout the building. That'll culminate in a big fun celebration with lots of hot chocolate and fun, right? So there's fun things too. But we really are pressing in to say, how are you going to impact the world for Christ? How are you going to be able to achieve what God has called you to do? And if I'm not running, they're not going to be running, right? So expectations come from the very top. And so if I'm not leaving here every day tired because we've worked hard, I shouldn't expect our kids to.
That's, man, I'm gonna say you almost lost me with the turkey hunt thing, because here I was hearing turkey hunt, rural Tennessee, 600 students. I'm like, oh my gosh, all these guns and they're running around. And like, oh, around the school. Whew, okay, got it now.
No, I'm not saying that I don't sign some excuses from time to time for somebody that's went on a hunt from time to time. But welcome to East Tennessee.
I love it. I love it. Well, hey, one final question for you before we hop off for today. I was asking everybody the same question. If you can give one final piece of advice for the school leaders listening, it could be anything you want it to be, but one final piece of advice, what would that be?
Yeah, I would say to always ask why. Always ask why are we doing it this way, and how can we do that better. Challenging your people has to come from challenging what we're doing, because your work is who you are, right? And so challenge the work to do what is best for kids. And I think that, and I think the innovative piece is key. If you're not going to be innovative, you're not going to be around long, right? And so I want our people to have that type of emphasis, that type of work. We're an independent school and we want to act like it. So how do we become independent and do what's best for kids?
I love that. Kevin, man, thank you. I know you guys are middle school year, so appreciate you taking time out of your day to hop on a podcast and talk about what you guys are doing. Wishing you guys nothing but the best.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Well, another huge shout out and a thank you to Kevin for taking time and being on the podcast today. I love what he's doing there in Tennessee, and I'm wishing them nothing but the best as they continue to grow and educate the next generation that's coming behind us. And as always, hoping you guys were able to take at least one thing away from today's episode that you can take back to your school to make it better than it is right now. Before you guys go today, I do want to make sure you are aware of our 3 free resources available here at School Success. The first one is the podcast. We are dropping weekly episodes of the School Success podcast every single Monday morning. Want to make sure you don't miss out on them. So if you're not yet subscribed, whatever platform you're listening on, subscribe. And if you haven't yet left a 5-star review, we would love a 5-star review. Myself and the team work really hard to get these out every single Monday. We want to make sure you guys are getting them, and then showing your appreciation with a 5-star review really would mean the world to us. So thank you in advance for that. And if you already have done that, thank you. Really, really do appreciate that. The second of the 3 resources is on our website, schoolsuccessmakers.com. Top right-hand corner, there is a button, the School Success Report, that is emailed directly to your inbox every single week with different articles the team has either found or written to help you, the school leader, be more successful. So we don't want to make sure you don't want to miss out on that one as well. And then last but not least is our free Facebook community called School Success Makers. There's a few hundred of them in there right now. You could add to the few hundred that are in there, and you can ask questions, get to know other people that are in the school space as well. It's a great place to build community, get questions answered. I'm personally in there, and I'd love to see you in there as well. I think that's all I got. So we will be back here next week with another awesome guest as usual on the School Success Podcast. We'll see you then. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Herzog Foundation.